I'm standing next to my older brother. My chest rises and falls, my labored breathing bearing the signs of the hill that I just sprinted, the hill that now looms in front of me, the hill that I'm supposed to sprint back up again in just a few moments, according to the workout plan that rests beside my feet, that bears my handwriting, that represents improvement from one season to the next. I glance at my watch, which shows both my heart rate, 160 beats per minute, and the time remaining until I have to run once again. The clock ticks down slowly, counting down the seconds until I go. 3, I suck in another harsh breath. 2, tears well in my eyes. 1, a few run down my cheek, wet, unexpected, unintended. The timer beeps loudly. Time to conquer the hill. And my legs don't move. Thoughts pour through my head. I can't do this. This hurts. I'm tired of putting in the work without reward. None of this matters. The faucet opens, and now tears welling turn into a full-on flood. My older brother snaps his head toward me. I certainly am an ugly crier. What's wrong? He asks. I huff in response. He presses, Laura, what's wrong? I struggle through a mumbled, pride-filled, I don't know, but I do know. Come on, something is wrong. A few more wheezes I try to gain control over my breath, and I begin to start in on what is exactly indeed wrong, finally opening up to my older brother about the thoughts dominating my mind. I miss the rep. Sitting in the hotel lobby, I wait at a table alongside our team captain. I prop my feet up on the table and lean back, deep in thought about the topic at hand. A back-and-forth exchange about the game that we just played, colored by questions regarding where the team is at emotionally and what we need to do better come the next day. As the conversation continues, I shift my legs awkwardly, searching for a comfortable position, a position that eludes me. Eventually, our conversation about the game concludes, despite my continual squirming, and the time to begin room checks occurs. I rise from my lounge position and grimace. Are you okay? She asks. Yeah, I'm fine. You just groaned. Apparently, I both grimaced and groaned while standing up. I must be getting old. Yeah, well, my leg isn't in the best shape today, I say. That sucks. I'm sorry. It's fine. I don't really feel pain anymore. She looks at me, questioning. I continue. Don't get me wrong, I feel what is supposed to be pain, like I know it's supposed to hurt, but it doesn't quite register as pain. It's like the volume is turned all the way down. That doesn't make sense, she says. It makes more sense than you think. Once you get to the point where you've been through pain enough times, you really learn just to not listen to it anymore. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines a crucible in 3 distinct ways. 1, a vessel of a very refractory material, such as porcelain, used for melting and calcining a substance that requires a high degree of heat. 2, a severe test. 3, a place or situation in which concentrated forces interact to cause or influence change or development. The word itself, crucible, is typically limited, at least in my experience, to English classes, wherein teachers and students examine a plot line that tests and changes its protagonist in some meaningful way. But I don't think that these examinations wholly represent the concept of a crucible. The first definition of the word about a refractory material will forego getting into, mostly because I know nothing about smelting metal or heating pottery. As such, let's begin with the severe test. Let me be clear, this does not refer to Mr. Steinman's physics tests or to the rigor of any of your other academic classes, though these classes in and of themselves can serve as a severe test as described in the Merriam-Webster definition, because a test of the level of a crucible pushes us to the very limits of our capabilities, to the edge of what we can physically and mentally accomplish. One wrong step in a crucible level test, and our bodies, our spirits, our psyches are broken. We find ourselves crying in the midst of these challenges because they've stretched us to the breaking point. It is literally the objective of these types of tests to destroy what once was. Now, for the third definition, a place or situation in which concentrated forces interact to cause or influence change or development. In other words, the underlying purpose of a severe test, to cause or influence change, to destroy what once was in order to create something new. Before I move on, I will say that the time of year in which I'm giving this chapel talk is not lost on me. It is now 2023, and my place at this pulpit is the first chapel talk of the new calendar year. Naturally, many of you will be expecting me to talk about the new year, for people love creating New Year's resolutions, setting goals for themselves, redefining what happiness means to them, recreating themselves in whatever form it might take. Many of you will not be surprised to hear that I am not a huge fan of these resolutions. Sure, I set goals for myself, try to stretch my boundaries, and generally work on who I am as a person, both personally and professionally. But I don't believe in arbitrarily choosing to do this at the start of any calendar year, because, in case you didn't already know, calendars are kind of arbitrary as it is. That said, I get it. The mark of a new year is a time to reflect on what the previous year held, on what's going on in our lives, on what's not going quite as well. I understand that many view a new year as a clean slate, one in which they can truly redefine who they are. And I do think that the core purpose of these resolutions is to improve. All of us want to evolve, to develop, but we most often fail to recognize that in order to truly change, we need to undergo some kind of crucible. Because what sometimes doesn't get covered in English classes is that a crucible is not a one-and-done occurrence. We do not undergo a lone crucible in our lives. We face them constantly and continuously if we're living the right way. If we're living the right way. So let me repeat that third definition of a crucible. A place or situation in which concentrated forces interact to cause or influence change or development. If I were to define this in another way, a crucible, under this definition, is an event or a series of events in our lives that create pressure in order to cause us to improve ourselves. But many of us try to avoid the concentrated forces we face. We do whatever we can to avoid running up hills, to avoid opening up to those we love the most, to avoid things that make us uncomfortable, to avoid pain. Why? Because comfort feels better than pain does. Because we would rather not have to endure the discomfort, because it's easier to not feel pain than it is to feel it. But by avoiding pain, we neglect to realize the reason that we feel that pain in the first place. A quick Google search on why it is that human beings feel pain reveals something simple. Pain is a reaction to damage. We feel it when our physical and/or psychological bodies are hurt. It is not a coded message. It is not trying to trick you. It is as simple as something hurts us, so our brain signals its pain sensors. Something challenges the status quo, and our pain sensors light up. What a quick Google search will not tell you is that the pain is not the end of the story. The painful burning in your legs after running hills is a signal of muscle damage, yes, but it is also a signal of those very same muscles getting stronger. The same thing goes for when you break a bone. Yes, you feel pain, but your bones, after being broken, heal themselves and become even stronger than before. They improve because of the damage. As such, we are forged into something stronger by going through pain. To be clear, I'm not suggesting that any of you goes out of your way to break every bone in your bodies in order to forge stronger bones. But instead, I am illustrating that pain in the physical sense, just as much as in the emotional sense, tends to bolster us. Pain necessitates that we become stronger and better in its aftermath. And crucibles cause pain, yes. But crucibles are also perhaps the best vehicle through which we can improve ourselves. And even though I have qualms with the notion of a New Year's resolution, because I don't believe that anyone should ever wait to improve themselves, I want to provide some guidance as to how we can best develop, how we can best find the courage to face severe tests, to endure concentrated forces, to better embrace pain in the new year and henceforth. We should actively seek out crucibles and the most challenging tests in order to ensure that we will be the best versions of ourselves. I will not lie. Going through these concentrated forces hurts a lot. Not being able to fully catch your breath is a scary feeling. Sometimes it means that you cry. But ultimately, the power that the pain has over you is entirely within your control. You can let it drive you, force you to stop the process of change as you take it on, or you can choose to turn down the volume. You can feel it while also recognizing it as a feeling, something that comes and goes in the same way that tears do. No one is ever crying their entire lives. It's up to you to control the thoughts that run through your head, for those thoughts are yours and yours alone. Even though they may be telling you one thing, like, I can't do this, you can shift that sentence at will. You can morph "this hurts" into "this matters," and keep that progress portion, the end result of the crucible, at the forefront of your mind. It is up to you to listen to or to not listen to the pain as you feel it. Am I saying that turning down the volume on pain is easy? No. It's one of the hardest things that we do. It literally hurts. But never be someone who shies away from pain. Never work to avoid it, for it will prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Don't wait for a new year, or for even tomorrow, to set a goal and make sure that you're willing, ready, and able to endure the pain that you will need to in order to achieve that goal. For it is with this knowledge of your control over pain and with a positive support system that you're able to find the courage to seek out, to face, and to endure the crucible. Luckily, each of you has found a support system at this stage of the year. That said, if you find yourself lacking, please know that my door is always open to anyone who needs it. Challenges present themselves in our lives all the time. They never stop rising up. There are always difficult situations ahead. I can say this from personal experience. It's merely the form that these challenges take that shifts over the course of time. As such, we are forced to either evolve to become better or to seek comfort and therefore stay the same. Every challenge we face is a crucible in and of itself. And while the core of us may not change all that much over the course of our lives, I, for one, am never going to be bubbly or especially talkative. We are constantly in a state of flux. We are constantly facing forces that will cause or influence change or development. And it's uncomfortable. Running hills is hard. So embrace the pain and then turn it down. Still recognize it as pain, but do not let it consume you. Doing so will allow you to conquer the crucibles that you face, and then you'll be unstoppable. I will end this chapel talk with such a challenge. And the next week, do something difficult. Seek it out. Practice doing the hard thing. That way, you too can no longer feel pain. Thank you.